Okay, greeting masterminders. Welcome to tonight's webinar discussing Brendan Borchard's how to be a high performer and have the habits to make that a continuous part of our lives. And as you know, we're on the third habit right now, almost at the end, kind of completing it with a couple of practical mind ways of thinking and a couple of actions. I'm just actually going to shut the window because I can hear this little dog barking. Can you hear it? Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Okay. Okay, hang on. I'm going to shut the other side of the window. Okay. Hopefully that is the end of that dog barking and disrupting us. And now I'm probably going to have to put on glasses or move the lamp closer because I've lost my light. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to go over affirming the way because we started that last week, but we kind of got disrupted with the internet just dropping off. So affirming the way is when you are raising necessity. It says that when high performers don't keep their goals, it's often because they don't practice affirmation. Affirming their achievements and telling their goals to other people. So the definition of affirming is to declare, strongly assert something is valid, something we feel confident about, we're convicted about, and we really want to make happen. He suggests when we are affirming our why, affirming what it is that we're doing, that we're proud of that. We're proud of that and we don't shy away from it. It is a little bit risky and scary telling friends and family why we're doing something and what we're trying to achieve, because then we are socially obligated and we also put some level of accountability on ourselves to actually achieve it. He says, as high performers, we're confident of our why, but we're not always self-righteous kind of people. We're open to the how. So we might have a plan, a strategy to achieve the how, but we're also open to that maybe needing to be tweaked, maybe needing to be changed, needing to take advice or confirmation or consultancy on that. He said when he made his why public, again, there was that risk of feeling like you're a fool, lacking in but it really brings you to a place where you're kind of lacking in integrity if you don't really make it happen. And affirm your why to yourself and do that out loud. He says that might sound a little bit weird, but he says often if you walk into a stadium just before an Olympian is about to perform, they'll be standing in that tunnel actually affirming their why. Why are they going out there? Why do they want to win? What are they going to do to achieve that? So this is often talking out aloud to yourself is quite important. And he gives quite a nice example of, he was really afraid. He was afraid that he was, it was about 11 years ago. His why was that he really wanted to share what he had learned, all his skills, his expertise, and he wanted to empower other people. And it was a time when video was coming out that he knew he was hopeless in front of cameras. Within the first 3 lines, he forgot what he was going to say. So he first of all affirmed to himself why he was doing this. If he didn't do this, people weren't going to learn these important skills. So that was really, really important to him. And then he started telling people, friends, family, colleagues, that this is what he was going to do. So he was going to produce a series on video to coach people how to be skilled leaders. And he said to the people, by this particular date, I am going to have created X number of videos and I want to give you feedback. So he immediately set himself up to achieve what he was going to achieve by actually inviting people to give him feedback. So he said the biggest reason for his prolificness is creating this kind of affirmation, is putting himself out there and taking the risk. So he has a couple of performance prompts. So if you have pen and paper, the first one is, what are the 3 things you would like to be extraordinary at? The 3 things that you could contribute in the world that you don't think anybody else could, or nobody else could do it as well as you could. It's your kind of time, it's your kind of unique patch. Only you could actually do that. So just list 3 things that you think that you are extraordinary at doing.
I see, Mandy. I've got. Geez, I've gone blank. Cindy's just joined. The webinar.
Hi, Cindy.
Cindy Johnson. She's part of our team.
Okay.
And so she's awesome. And maybe just quickly tell her that you've just been touching on affirmations and the importance of that, because she's just gone through working on her why and all that now. She's just recently started. So this is actually quite good for her.
Okay. Well, why don't you summarize, Doug? I'll see how much you've been listening.
Okay, so I'll be. Tell me where I'm right. Okay, where I'm wrong. You can shout at me from Sicily. So basically, since we've got Mandy Young running this, who you can see in the picture there, she's sitting in Sicily, and then you've got 2 other people on the call. I think it's Carol and Veronica. Carol from Cape Town, Veronica from Rome. Can you believe it? And they're doing a masterminders little course, I guess, or webinar, and for high performers.
You're doing
and
well.
Today's session is about affirming the way, which is practicing affirmations, and basically, Mandy said that if you tell people about it, and if you affirm your why, it will become a reality, but you've got to have a plan, really, the how to get there. And you've just put out a pointer now that is something along the lines of, what are the 3 things I can be extraordinary at? And yeah, that's about it. That's kind of what I got the gist of.
Yeah, you did really well. Thanks, Doug. You're very welcome, Cindy. Maybe just the one little thing I'd add to that is Brendan is very much about being internally motivated before you rely on extrinsic things. So a lot of your why needs to come from inside, and it's the one thing that will keep you going. So it'll be the one thing that so I just gave an example of how he really wants to empower people, because obviously that was meaningful for him to share his skills. And in order to really make sure that he raised the necessity, the urgency to do that, the motivation, he made that public to his friends, his peers, and created some kind of social obligation, personal accountability for his own integrity. So yeah, that would just be to add to your why, that unless you actually have a why, and unless he says his affirming of this is what made his, I think he must have coached something like 900,000 people, and he never would have done that if he didn't do this practice. So he said this particular practice made what he did very prolific. So yes, as Doug said, we're looking at some of the prompts that support where we've been talking already. So the first prompt is asking the question, what 3 things you would like to be extraordinary at doing? Or what things do you feel you're already extraordinary at doing? You don't have to answer that. We're just kind of writing it down. I'm not going to put you on the spot. You popped in.
Precious, indeed.
We will kind of come back to chatting about this in a minute. So give you a few minutes to write down 3 things you are extraordinary at, or you'd like to be extraordinary at. Okay, the second prompt question is my whys for being excellent in each of these areas. Why would you like to be extraordinary in these areas? Okay, how's everybody doing? We can push on. Okay, cool. The third one is the people I will tell about these goals and why them? Why would I tell them? So who are you going to actually tell? Okay, this is quite a fun one. When you weren't here, Cindy, we spoke about the importance of actually saying these affirmations to yourself out loud, and how sometimes if you walked into a pre-presentation or an Olympian about to run out onto the field, they're often mumbling to themselves out loud various affirmations, various reasons why they want to do what they do. So it's not wacky. This is really what high performers do. So the things, what are the affirmations? What are the things you would like to say out aloud to yourself to affirm these whys, to affirm your why? Okay. Okay, we still have another whole, okay, sorry, one more thing. Some ways I can remind myself about these important goals and whys. Okay, so what I was going to say is we've still got quite a nice section to get through still. So just wanted to go over this briefly. Anybody want to say what they are extraordinary at or they'd like to be extraordinary at?
No.
Okay, I'll jump in, seeing everyone's a little quiet. It's like that when you've got a couple of new faces and you're not sure what people are going to think. So I've said empowering people for transformation, liberating people, and duplication. That's what I'd like to be extraordinary at. Some of that I think I'm okay at. Okay, the next question was what is your why? So let me go back to that actual question. Anybody got written down? I've lost my piece of paper now. Oh, here we go. My why for becoming excellent in each of these areas. Why would you want to do your why? Why is that important to you? Anybody like to share?
Go, Mandy.
You're all very quiet tonight. Okay, now I'm not letting you off next week. Okay. Okay, so I feel as an ecotherapist, I have an experience in a wildlife journey with wildlife, animals, people, that I'd really like to share with people so that they recognize, reconnect with their interdependence with nature. And the other side of things, the business building side, the network marketing side, for me, it's really important in terms of being able to help people fulfill their dreams and to become wealthy. So not just wealthy in finance, but wealthy in lifestyle. And I'm sure somebody can answer this next one. The people I will tell my goals about. Who are you going to tell? There's no use just doing this and not putting it into action. Somebody has to answer this question.
I almost want to say everyone. Is that bad?
No, of course not. That's cool. Everyone you come into contact with.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And if we were getting a little bit more specific, who are the people you come into contact with? I like people you meet every day, Facebook, LinkedIn, meetings, social groups, sporting places. Where do you connect with people?
Are you talking to me directly, Mandy?
I am, Doug.
Where's Carol and Veronica? I'm new in this.
I know, they're the oldies. They should be saying something, giving you a bit of torture.
I think from my side, obviously I'm wanting to duplicate and kind of be the example in my teams. And so I'm really wanting everyone to be the same as me, and I'm wanting everyone to achieve their goals, and I'm wanting them to be able to see that I can achieve my goals. So I have to make it real. I have to make it a reality. It has to, the law of attraction, it has to come into my life, you know, and the only way about doing that really is putting it out there in the universe. And if I don't do it, it's not going to happen. And I've got to believe in it. So for me, it is obviously in the business sense, when I'm trying to grow my business through whoever I meet out there, I'm very happy to share my why with anyone. So they've just got to actually see that I'm serious and that I am doing stuff and I am going to reach my goals. So I know it's probably sounding a bit wishy-washy now, but yeah, that's just the way I am. I mean, when we got in the call, I told you straight away, I want to travel in 2021. I want to be able to live anywhere in the world. That is my why.
Cool.
So I'm not ashamed of telling anyone.
No, that's cool. So it sounds like you know where you want to arrive, and part of arriving there in terms of how you relate to especially your team, but everybody, is that you want to be really authentic and you really want to put it out there. And you're not afraid to do that because you feel really confident about what it is that you're sharing, and you feel unashamed about where you're going, where you're heading towards.
Yeah, no, 100%. The things that do concern me is the how, because that comes into self-belief, and you know, when you hit your head against the wall so many times, and you've got to keep on picking yourself up. You know, that why is very important.
Sure.
And so it's the self-belief and believing that how is going to get me there. You know, and that plan that I have is going to get me there, and I've just got to carry on sticking at it, because
Sure.
The reality is, in network marketing, we all know that so many people try and knock us down because they just don't understand what we are doing. And the 8 to 5 people, the naysayers out there, it's very hard, you know, within the conventional world as such. So,
Sure.
yeah, so
relatively new as a business building model, and definitely not the norm. I mean, I think it's becoming very much more prolific. But yeah, I think some of what we've covered already that I might bring in here is that Brendan was quite strong, and we'll cover a little bit of this in the section we're moving into. I think a lot of it will fit into what you've just been saying. But he's very, in terms of the how, he's very much about, unless you're motivated by your love for somebody, or your love for your family, your love for your wife, your love for your friends, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, your love for yourself, but also unless you're motivated by a really important cause that has meaning for you, it's going to be really hard for you to keep your why. So, for example, if I go back to the example that he gave of affirming his video production so that he could empower other people to have his skills, he didn't focus on the external things. He didn't focus on, I will do the video and I will be able to speak for 20 minutes without stuttering. He focused on the why. I'm going to be able to empower people. I'm really going to be able to make a difference in people's lives. So that's where he kind of focused. That's what kept him going. That's what motivated him. So I think, yeah, all of that's really important. I think we're running a little bit out of time, so I'm going to move on to the next section is called Level Up Your Squad. And I think this is quite a nice section. It feeds into some of what you've been saying, Doug. So there's a quote by Amy Poehler, and she says, find a group of people who challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them, and it'll change your life. So he says one of the easiest ways to win is to be around positive, successful people, people who you feel have something to teach you. And sometimes the people, ask yourself, who are the people you normally hang out with? Which of the peers, which of your family, which of your colleagues, who are the people that you normally hang out with? Are they positive, successful people? Are they negative, uninspiring people? And he says scientific research has shown there's this clustering or contagion effect. So it shows that people who hang out and spend a lot of time together start to behave and think like each other. So if you're hanging out with people who are inspiring and caring and have the same value system as you, then you're likely to behave and act like that. If you're hanging out with, and I'm not being judgmental by all sorts of people, it's just an example, depressed smokers who are overweight and always blaming everybody else, you're going to be like that as well. And he says this contagion effect is relevant for up to 3 degrees of relating. So it's not just your friends, but your friends of your friends and your friends of your friends of your friends. So obviously your friends you see more often, they're going to have a more significant influence. Your friends of your friends of your friends, you probably only see at your friend's birthday party or something like that. So they're going to have a little bit less influence. But some people might ask, well, what happens if you have a poor start in life? You've grown up in an abusive, violent situation, you've grown up in an impoverished situation. Is that it for you? Or you might ask, you haven't really hit the social lottery. You don't have the kind of social skills where you have a good network of friends and people. Well, does that mean that you are now discounted? Is it going to be a huge disadvantage you'll never overcome? And he kind of says, fortunately, relationships are fluid and not set in concrete. And high performers, he said, are invested in performing at a certain level over a long period of time. So even if your situation is not what you want it to be right now, it's not the kind of social circle that's building you up and supporting you and inspiring you, it doesn't mean that it can't become like that. Because that's why it's called a habit, a high performance habit. It's not like a high performance given. It's like a choice to do something repeatedly day after day. It's a choice to go in a certain direction day after day. So even if your situation is not like that now, it doesn't mean that it can't become like that. And then you might ask the question, well, then do you just hang out with all the positive people in your life and just get rid of the negative ones? Just flick them off the planet, tick them off your Facebook, delete them. And again, he says no, because some of those people are like loyal friends. They're like close family. You can't just get rid of them. But he says sometimes those kind of people are really important in your life because they teach you certain skills. If they're constantly negative, you might learn how to be positive even in a negative atmosphere. Or if they're abusive, you might learn how to stand up for yourself and how to take better care of yourself. So sometimes the negative people in your life can be very good in creating very important skills. But he does encourage you not to spend masses of amounts of time and not make them your focus, or not make them the people you're going to change, but rather focus on building a circle of friends that do inspire you, and focus on you becoming the right kind of person that's going to inspire those kind of relationships. And he says even in people in sort of really, there was some research done with school kids looking at different socioeconomic levels and different beliefs in themselves, and found that even those kids from a lower socioeconomic level, if they really believed in themselves, they could achieve as high as the top 20% of people who came from a very advantaged situation. So the positive thing about it, and I think this is why we do the mindset groups, is that what you think can also influence your circle of friends, can also influence your life. You are in control of what you think. And there's somebody called Jake Canfield, and he says, make a conscious effort to surround yourself with positive, nourishing, and uplifting people who believe in you, encourage you to go after your dreams. So you might ask, well, how do you add more successful, positive, inspiring people to your network? And Brendan gives a couple of suggestions. He says, add one more awesome friend, just one more awesome friend. And when you have that friend, invite them to have coffee. And not only invite them to have coffee, but invite them to bring 2 or 3 of their friends with them, because they're likely to be hanging out with cool people. So just make one awesome friend and then spend a little bit of time with them and get to know their friends. The second suggestion he made was very novel, but very, I felt, quite profound, actually. He said, volunteer. Some of the most wealthy, educated, together people are people who volunteer, because they kind of come from a very filled up place, emotionally, financially, spiritually, that they really want to give to benefit other people. He says, don't go in there and volunteer so that you can only hang out with rich, educated people. He says, go in there to really serve, have an attitude of servanthood, attitude of compassion, and volunteer in an area that you really do have some passion for. So it's not just about the people you'd be hanging out, but the person you'd become in volunteering. He says often when you're with negative people and you constantly get this kind of negativity, going to volunteer can really shift something for you. So I thought that was actually a very interesting suggestion. And if you don't even know of any volunteer groups, just go Google, type in your city and type in volunteer, and I'm sure quite a lot will pop up. Third one, he says play sports. Not only is that a great place to connect with healthy people, but also a great place to hone your competitive skills. Not that you're going there to kind of annihilate your opponent, but also learn how to just deal with competition and enjoy it. And yeah. And then he said, seek mentorship. Said, actually seek a life mentor, somebody who's going to stick by you for life, somebody you really believe in, somebody you really look up to, someone you think has a lot of wisdom, a lot of expertise, a lot of skill. And then he says, connect with them at least once a month. And then he said the other mentor you should try and seek out is someone who's skilled in a particular domain where you're working right now. So if you're working on developing your video skills, if you're developing your marketing skills, whatever skills you're developing, find a mentor and also connect with them at least once a month. And he says that kind of domain mentor, that second person that's more related to specific areas in your life, you should change them every 3 years. So if you're not growing to learn a new skill or grow a new area of your life every 3 years, then that's something he would encourage. And if you're growing in a new area, you need a new mentor. And then finally he says, earn it. Work hard, become really excellent and extraordinary at what you do. Don't just sit back and think all of this is going to happen. And when you become amazing at what you really want to achieve, at who you really want to be, says it'll be amazing what doors open for you and the kind of people that you'll meet. So we got a couple more performance prompts. So out with your pens and paper. Maybe we're going to have a bit more of feedback from the audience. Okay, the first one. The most positive in my people in my life right now who I should be hanging out with a lot more are. Okay, second one, to add to the number of high performers in my network, I will. Okay, some new routines or get-togethers I could create to bring together the positive and supportive people in my life include. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Anybody like to say who the positive people they hang out with or they'd like to hang out with more often?
Yeah, I'll go.
Woohoo!
I've got to say something at some point.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I think the most positive people that I would like to hang out with are small business owners. I'm quite passionate about small business and entrepreneurship and developing business and empowering people to develop their own business and thereby gain financial freedom. So yeah, when you mentioned that, I was somewhere I can't remember, last week, and lady I don't really know, but we sort of crossed paths and landed up chatting to her, and it was such an empowering and such a great conversation. It was literally in the road, but she very briefly gave me her sort of business ideology and philosophy and where she was, because I was just saying in terms of growth, employing people and the responsibility that comes with that, and she didn't really see it from that point of view. And then we, after that conversation, exchange numbers, and we're going to get together and have coffee and just explore that a little bit further. So that sort of jumped out at me when you spoke about that. I found that very positive, because it wasn't that, when you speak to a lot of business owners, they always, it's the responsibility and the pressures and and she had a completely different, she felt very proud of the fact that she was responsible for people's incomes, and she actually wanted to grow her business so that they could earn more money. Not that so she could grow her business bigger, but that the people working for her could earn more. And that was, I thought that was
more. She was quite focused on supporting the people that she had in her employment.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be richer. It's like.
Exactly. That's exactly, because, and very proud of the responsibility she had towards that, and didn't sort of view it as a drag, which I find a lot of people actually do. They're always complaining about staff, and they don't do this and they don't do that, and so she
really inspiring.
she said she demanded high standards, and she discussed how she did, and she expected people to want to work, and she rewarded them accordingly. And if you don't want to work or whatever, then that's it. And I found that very, for me, I'd like to hang around more people like that.
Yeah, sounds really refreshing. How did you actually meet her? I mean, what put you in her company? How did that happen for you?
We've done a couple of shows together where she does a range of Zest products that she started, and so we've done a couple of shows together, and we've just chatted at the shows. And then I was at a supplier, and I was actually at a deli, and she was delivering some of her produce there, and we just got chatting.
Amazing. So you're in a situation actually where you meet a lot of entrepreneurs.
I do meet a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small entrepreneurs, and I find it very, very empowering, very, very energizing speaking to them, and the passion that everybody has with their products. So to go back to the first thing, the extraordinary things, that what I would like to do is developing small business and developing that entrepreneurial drive that I think a lot of people have, and they just don't really know. Well, they don't really know what their why is or their how. Nice.
Maybe I should explain to Doug and Cindy. Carol's not actually in network marketing. She's in a very different business model. She's been very much a pioneer in creating limoncello, capsucello, and other sort of alcohol.
It's gone a little bit further from the limoncello now.
I know, lots of different, very pioneering in that, and really gone through all sorts of hoops to kind of get that established. So very much a pioneering mindset, but network marketing isn't her business building choice. Okay, thanks for that, Carol.
Sorry, I'd just like to add, when you said it's not my business choice, I think it would be a great business choice if I actually owned the product.
Okay, well, maybe you can. You'll have to get people.
Yeah, I think I like to be at the top of the pile.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd find lots of people doing that.
Just have to get that in.
Fine. Okay, anybody got any good ideas of how they would add high performers in their network? Maybe I'll just jump in then. I just thought it's not something I've actually focused on, actively thinking about, gee, would I like to actually really develop a relationship with that person because I really value and respect them? And I think becoming a little bit more focused on that kind of choice would be helpful. And specifically for me in Sicily, I've just heard of the English-speaking Italian group. So I think I'll definitely explore who I find there. And I guess maybe a third one is a local tennis club that I should need to get a little bit more active in. Anybody else got any ideas where to find these amazing people?
Well, I'll just jump in there on this. Because I am also an expat living in Italy, it's not always easy to just go to meet people, but I do join international organizations, so you do meet a lot of people that way.
Okay.
Whether it's foodies, social, there was a TED Talk last weekend.
Nice.
Things that are in what I like to do, like drawing and painting. That's how I'm trying to connect to people.
Okay. Yeah, that must be very, I wish they had an expat group in Sicily, I must say. But yeah, that must be really interesting because you must meet so many different people from so many different walks of life.
Yeah, it's great, actually.
Yeah, very interesting.
A lot of them work for the embassies, and a lot are also with international organizations.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, if we move on to the third one, some new routines or get-togethers you could create to bring together positive or supportive people in your life.
I can maybe just say, maybe I hope I'm not different, but anyway, well, I hope I am different actually.
Have to be different. Unique.
Yeah, exactly. I just find the yoga studio I go to is amazing. Every time you go in there, it's complete personal development. It is just you just feel just on top of the world every time you leave. And I just personally, and I just think there's a way of going around the world of people being more healthy, more in contact with themselves, understanding themselves, and the health industry. I think there's a lot of successful people that are investing in that. May it be in gym or whatever the story. So for me personally, I just feel great for the people I mix with at yoga, and they're not all hippies like everyone thinks. Mm-hmm. They're top business, top people are involved in that, and so I just wanted to share that. I mean, for me, it's yoga's everywhere in the world, and you've got some great people there that actually have real meaning and real purpose, and that are in touch with themselves. And those guys, if you connect with them, it's genuine. It's not just false makeup and false eyelashes kind of stuff. It's real stuff, and I enjoy that.
Okay, so for you, kind of getting to know more of the people from the yoga group that you're with. especially because you're seeing there that there's not only a focus on physical well-being, but it's kind of spiritual and emotionally uplifting as well. And the
Absolutely.
people who are there want to integrate all of those parts of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I go to gym. I go to. Hopefully, I'd like to serve others. I'm part of sports clubs. I'm all of that. But the real stuff for me comes from the yoga studio I go to.
Interesting.
And that's just my opinion, I guess, and where I've connected better.
Okay, I think that's very interesting. Interesting in terms of looking for groups of people who kind of combine all of that: physical, spiritual, emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to end off with a short bit here. He calls it "No Other Choice." And there's a quote by Epictetus, I think that's how you say his name. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. So in other words, just don't talk about it, go get on with doing it. So he says, people who rise above their natural circumstances and raise necessity do so because they're hungry, they have to succeed, there is no other choice. They have the necessity. So the flip side of that is people without the mindset that sees things in that way, and they often never reach their full power. So that's sad if we fall into that category. He says, as with all high performance habits, you have to be deliberate about raising your level of necessity. Not something that you can be wishy-washy about. It's a definite decision. It's a commitment. And some questions you can ask yourself on a daily basis is, have I associated my activities today with my identity and my sense of obligation? And the second question is, why is chasing this dream important to me? Why must I do this? When must I do this? Another question, how can I get around some amazing people who will up my game? And how can I get around some inspiring people who will help me to serve and be more loving and giving? So if you constantly revisit these questions, they can lead to an entire new level of motivation and commitment. We're only as strong and as extraordinary as we allow ourselves to be. You need to determine your must, not even just your why, your must. Make it real. Feel it in your gut. And the world needs you to show up right now. I'm going to end on that point. And thanks so much for the discussion this evening. Thanks everyone for their contribution. And a big welcome to Doug and Cindy. Hope we'll see you again.
Awesome.
And
thank you, Mandy.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mandy.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye, guys.